couple of lines of poetry from William Wordsworth, the great 17th, 18th century English romantic poet. And in a poem I had to learn in school, in the last verse, he described what it's like to recall the things that inspire him and lift him. And the lines he used go like this. I think he says, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. So this coming talk and the clips that you're going to see are about your inward eye, are about the bliss that it can create. This idea that how you can use imagery to develop the right emotions, maybe the right feeling, to prepare yourself for what you want to deliver in a performance is, I suppose, at the heart of all of this. So let's start by having a look at this clip now. And Connor, what's coming up now is the Mike Cammalleri clip. So we'll show it in its totality, and then it'll go back to me and I'm going to say. So that was Mike Cammalleri. Mike had a 15-year career in the National Hockey League. He started out with the LA Kings, played for the Oilers. I think he ended his career in New Jersey. So 15 years as a top professional. And I'm wondering, as you watched that, what you were noticing about what he was doing. So this is about visualization or sports imagery. And yet here's a guy sitting with his eyes wide open, staring at a pitch, and you've got these small, almost involuntary body movements that are accompanying him as he regards the environment that he's about to step into and play in. He's a few hours away from the puck off. So what is going on? What is he doing? And you heard in the commentary over the clip the commentator suggesting that he was envisaging himself in certain areas of the pitch itself.
Kids, he's visualizing. Watch this now. Now look at this. I've never seen anything like this. And watch at the very end, when this is a long one, he's looking right at the spot where he shot the puck. See that? He's I hear guys out there doing their sticks and everything. Isn't that something? Whatever he's doing right. Now look at you looking at that spot again. You got that spot down perfect. You look at, see that? He's getting ready to just snap that puck like that.
Bobby did this?
Bobby would be in the dressing room. He would not go out. Bobby would be in the afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon, getting ready for a 7 o'clock game, just like he's getting ready, not quite as early, but Bobby would do the exact same thing. Now watch, it's that spot that he was looking. Watch that spot. Boom. And he had another great spot with it before. And see that spot? That's his spot visualizing.
So that was Mike Cammalleri. Cammalleri played for 15 years in the National Hockey League, a really long career. I think he was with 5 different sides after starting out with the LA Kings. What did you notice in the clip? Interesting to see that this is a focus on visualization, and here's a guy who is sitting with his eyes open on the side of a rink that he's about to play in. And you'll have noticed the small involuntary movement in his body. As the narrator suggests, Cammalleri is rehearsing a couple of scenarios that he believes he's going to face, and then the film is edited to show you the player more or less in those positions in the game itself. So one of the ideas in sports imagery is that you can use it to create an experience in your mind, and along with actually seeing a movement, a set play, a response to a situation unfolding, I'm guessing that what was happening as well for Cammalleri was he was summoning up an emotional state a level of concentration that he has come to understand in his career helps him drive his performance in the direction he wants it to go in.
I try to relax every single muscle so that there's really no tension involved. The only muscle working is my brain. I just shut my eyes and I visualize, the different ups and downs in the courses, where I'm gonna make my moves. I love when it's like a really cold morning with the perfect snow and it makes that perfect and they always have a timer that counts down. It makes me so nervous, even when I hear it in the summer, because that is the start of the race, and it's like, beep, 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 beep. I'm heading up to the first climb. I definitely don't want to go too hard at the beginning because this is a hard course and pacing is important. Nerves come in a lot of different forms. Sometimes they come to your muscles and they make you feel like totally shaky. Sometimes they do this bizarre thing where they make you so nervous that you almost become to this relaxed state where you're like, okay, come on leg, you can do it. You're halfway up the climb. This is when your legs start burning. Don't think about that, just think about being light, being light, being light. There is no weight holding me down. I am just this bird flying up the hills and across the flats. I actually discovered that the positive voice in my head that's talking to me during races is actually my mom's voice. Come on, Sadie, come on. Light as a bird. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, left, right, left. Crest over the top of the hill, low tuck, don't be afraid of that corner. Rip out of the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think my favorite times to compete are when the crowd are so loud that this roaring of voices becomes like almost this, it like doles out anything in your head. It's just this buzz that overtakes everything. You gotta stay in it, you still have one more climb. Headed for the final climb. This is where you know you have to dig deeper than anybody else is willing to. Okay, you got it. All right, headed down for the finish line. Get your hands up, the line is right there. I have those times where I see us crossing the line and winning that medal and the faces of the girls on our team and just the excitement and it's totally that extra motivation that's like, okay, I can do this and I'm gonna do it. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I have visualized the emotional part of it. I really try to not look at my competitors. I think sometimes when you look at them, they seem like they're like 30 feet tall or their like muscles are, this big and you don't see just another competitor. And so I try to not look around. I try to only think about what I can control and what I'm gonna accomplish. It's nobody else, it's me just doing what I do every day.
So Bjornsen's saying it's not having nerves, it's not the absence of nerves, it's being able to cope with them when they hit her. And if you look at the level of awareness that she has about how anxiety will manifest itself in her body, and then the way she develops some strategies for managing that when it occurs, you'll have noticed her talking about, for example, the way she'll breathe. There's an interesting angle on the use of imagery, that there's actually a physical component to how you use energy. I can rehearse how I want to breathe in a certain moment. You'll have also noticed in that short clip the way she talks about the great narrator, the person inside her head, her own voice. I think the jargon is self-talk, but how she rehearses what she might say to herself, and also how she's envisaged certain parts of the race, how she sees certain stages in her mind's eye, the first big climb, what it's going to be like, and then she thinks about how she's going to move. And you even saw this sort of almost miming of the movement of the ski poles, the rhythm in her body. Now there's a connection to Cammalleri right away, but in a style that suits her. The other thing that's maybe striking about that short clip is the way she's created a metaphor for herself. She talks about when the pain starts to come in, and that inner voice is whispering maybe to slow up or give up. She actually says, I think, how sometimes nervousness manifests itself in her by making her want to go more slowly. And her metaphor is to fly like a bird, to be light like a bird. So where are we so far? The use of the inward eye, whether your eyes are open or closed, as Bjornsen did for a little part of her clip, how you are thinking about what's to come, how you might be saying some things to yourself about certain key moments or stages that you know will arise. And I think this is really important, that the use of imagery is not just carrying a picture in your head. It's what you hear yourself saying. It's what you might feel in your body, feel yourself doing. The power of your body in a tackle or resisting being hit, or the strength in your legs when pain takes over. So mental imagery is partly about what you see, but it's also about what you can hear, what you can feel. It's a multi-sensory experience. This next talk, I think, drives that point home further.
I'll visualize a run the way that I want to see it done. I usually kind of do this like off to the side, away from everybody, sort of in my own quiet space. When you're in the gate and you're standing there getting ready to drop, it is the most present, hyper-focused moment of my entire life. I've just sort of buckled my snowboard on. I can feel the pressure of my straps on my ankles. Is it snowing or is it sunny? Is there wind on my face? I reach over to the gate, I make sure the handles are adjusted to the right height. I'm looking at the top of the start gate, just waiting for it to move, trying to feel what that adrenaline's like. The gate opens, I can hear it, it makes like an audible click. I imagine like the exhale of my breath, because you're holding your breath. And when you pull, you're pulling as hard as you can and trying to generate as much speed. And so it's like this exhale and react. I have to move really quickly over the first two features. It's real target shooting. You really have to like barely pick your feet up and over. I can hear the wind going through my goggles and I can sort of feel it on my eyes. I'm going probably 40 miles an hour through there. I'm jockeying for position, making sure that my body position's really good. I know people are gonna be trying to crowd my space. If you're driving a car and you have a 5-lane road and 6 cars and you're all trying to fight to go the fastest, you're gonna hit each other, you're gonna bump against each other, you're gonna trade paint. Rubbing is racing, being close to each other, that's the chaos. Like if you slip up in the first corner, your day could be done. It's like first round, first run. I always imagine taking a pretty big, deep breath. You're about halfway through the course. A lot of times you can hear like an edge running through the snow or somebody coming up short on a jump. My heart rate's going through my roof. If there's a competitor in front of me, I'm staying right on their tail and braking off to the left just at the last second before I go through the last 2 rollers and across the finish line. Even when I'm just visualizing it right now, when I cross the finish line, it's this like huge relief. It's like, okay, I made it down safe. I'm going on to the next round. Like, let's do this again. I'm not out there knitting sweaters, you know? Like I'm racing border cross because it makes me feel alive and because I love it. It's gnarly. God damn, it's probably, yeah, it's the best drug you can be able to do, so it's good.
That was Alec Deibold, the American snowboarder. Got a bronze medal in Sochi in 2014. Again, he's maybe drawn our attention to a couple of nuances in this use of imagery that add to what you might be getting from Cammalleri and from Bjornsen herself. And you remember at the start that he says, I see it the way I want to see it done. I see it the way I want to see it done. And then what adds power to his use of imagery is, you recall, he says, I can hear. So here's another sense coming into play. I can hear, for example, the click of the start gate. I can feel the power I use to lever myself out of the gate to get up to up to speed. He's travelling at about 45 miles an hour down the slope, and he's racing alongside other snowboarders. He can hear. He talks about the feeling, imagining the wind going up through his goggles as he flies down the slope. So this inward eye that Wordsworth talked about isn't just a picture. It can be a feeling. It can be a sound. It can be even perhaps what you smell. Smell of the grass. If you're on a pitch. The taste of the clean air if you're on a mountainside. Use of imagery is multi-sensory, and in all the three clips they are creating an experience in their mind, and I think they're trying to generate a certain mood or disposition. That's relevant to all of us if we're interested in performance. And there's one last thing that I wanted to emphasize, is that imagery can also work almost in reverse. You can recreate experience. Let me tell you a story to try to make that understandable. A few years ago now, I had a good involvement with a professional rugby player. Played for Ulster, he played for Ireland, and he was really interested in using imagery to help his own performance. Now, unlike the ice hockey player, this guy liked to do his imagery work about 48 hours out from a game, because he wanted then to sort of switch off. The day before the game was for him kind of very chilled out time. He liked to meet people for coffee, take it quite easy physically. I think sometimes he would do a captain's run the day before the game, maybe often he did a captain's run. I can't remember the exact sequence of his routine now. But he wanted to feel 48 hours out that he was ready. So on occasion he would come into my house, he would lie on a sofa, he would close his eyes, unlike maybe the athletes in the other clips, although we did see Deibold with his eyes closed at the start, and the way he used his hands to simulate some of the motion of his race. So this player would lie on the sofa, close his eyes, very quickly become almost sleep-like. Very still, very nice, easy rhythm to his breathing. And he would have given me a cue, and he'd say, look, I want to think about with defence. I'm playing this team, I'm playing, my opposite number is this guy. I want to see myself tackling effectively against him in particular. And so I would basically make a very gentle suggestion that there's a piece of play unfolding, and the circumstance would arise that he had to commit himself to a tackle, and just invited him to see the tackle in his mind's eye. And I would watch him land there, and occasionally you would see this little, I don't know if it's a proprioceptive response in his body. You'd see maybe a little flicker in the hands or in his legs, and he would maybe repeat that, whatever that inward image was, repeat it several times prior to getting up and going on with his day. But ahead of the creation of the next tackle in the next game, I would invite him to go back and recreate a tackle from a previous game, or some great defence from previous games, so that what he's doing then is associating himself with the fact that he'd carried out that skill before really effectively. So all these clips so far have been athletes who are preparing to compete, and giving you some insight into how they get their mind and their bodies, their spirit ready for an upcoming performance. You can use imagery too to retrieve performance, to recall and remember yourself at your best, to think back to occasions when you delivered, to remember precise moments. And how good is that? That's like opening up the holiday album and remembering the good times you had on a trip. So you can also use imagery to go back and recall the times that you delivered, and then flip it and project that delivery into the next event. So, in the next talk, I'll have a look with you at some of the structure that you might bring if you're wondering about how to begin to do this. Or if you're already doing it, a structure that maybe gives you an alternative to some of the practices you're currently using. But remember, this is about finding a fit that is right for you, doing it in a way that is appropriate for you. And if you're still listening, that tells me something about how open-minded you are in your search for improvement. Thanks for listening.